Hey everyone, welcome to Tech Down Over. I'm Rick Zanotti and I'm joined today by my good friend and colleague down in Melbourne, Australia. He's the down under guy, I'm the up over here guy. Jeff Blanchard. Hey Jeff, how are you?
Good, thank you, Rick. I'm keeping to my philosophy this year of not spending money on camera equipment. It's getting harder and harder.
He's done well today. So far you've done well with that. Did you get your TV?
I've bought it, but I haven't got it yet. So.
Oh boy, wait till
I'm
you
not
hear
doing
this
very
one.
good on not spending on electronics totally.
No, but he has spent 2 fortunes on other things. Here we go. And we are back, and we were supposed to have Ken Wheeler on today, as some people call him the angry photographer. He's not that angry. Anyway, he's well known. He's got a ton of YouTube viewers, and he's fun. He's actually fun to watch, and he puts out a lot of good information. So we're thinking he may have forgotten, because I asked him to come on the show while he was on the road, and his response was, sure. I never heard from him since. So he may have gotten distracted with all the stuff he's been doing. I think he had a shoot this week too, and it may have been today, and he may have gotten stuck in the shoot, because I remember he posted that this Friday he had a shoot, so that may be where he is. So we'll see him next time. He's a good friend, and we'll have him come on the next time he's available. So in the meantime, we're here, and we're going to excite you and give you all sorts of information.
Oh, well, hopefully. Well, I'll just say with Ken as well, I really did enjoy, he did a video with Jason Lanier in the camera store, and then they went down to the horse stables in Kentucky. But it just, things like that just made a big difference, because, as I say, you quite often see Ken just behind his desk, or you see out and about, but you only see, because he films it, so you don't see him much, but it sort of makes him a bit more of a real person walking around and talking, and we just like him anyway. But it just, I thought, for those who don't know him, it really opens him up, because he is such a, I don't like calling him the angry photographer, because to me it sounds a bit bad,
and he doesn't really use that much anymore, and he doesn't use that much anymore either.
No, and as I said, he just tells it how it is, but he says some things that I wish I could. I just had a laugh the other day, whereas I thought if you ask him the question, what's his thought on Lexar memory cards? And I thought, you can't get misunderstood when he says, don't buy them, and he goes for nearly 2 minutes just saying, don't buy them. And I said, so what do you really think?
he did one the other day that had me cracking up, and he said, I'm tired of these new age idiots and all these guys who just basically say they want to be happy, they want to feel good. He goes, you want to feel good? The best way to feel good is take some Xanax and get a lobotomy. Then you can sit you in front of a TV 12, 13 hours a day. You won't even know it. You'll be happy, and that's your life. You're happy 24/7. He's got a sad point there, but it's actually probably true.
But it is all that sort of thing, like we was just talking in when we first started the show about me trying to keep away from camera gear this year, because the cameras I've got at the moment really will do what I want them to do, but I really want the Panasonic GH5, and it does everything I want it to do, and it would be a nice step up. But then again, it's like everything, you've got to think, well, what are you going to get out of it? How much are you going to use it? So when I come to justifying the spend on things, I always think about, yes, how much am I going to use it, but how much effort will it take me to have to use it? So I get very lazy sometimes. So
what
if
really
it's
happens,
something I can use every day, that's a bit more justifiable.
But here's the real reality as to why you would get the camera. Girls would see it and they'd love you. They'd go, oh, wow, that's a cool camera. So therefore, you'd be a cool guy with that. Dogs love it. I don't know what it is, but they've done studies, and dogs love that camera more than anybody else. So, I mean, you'd be set. You've had dogs and girls. What else could you want? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I'll just say the other thing. I was just thinking before the show with cameras and that, and like I was just saying with Ken getting in front of the camera, I thought it's very hard as a photographer to get in front of the camera, because it's a very lonely place. Because no matter who you've got with you, you're the only one who's got the patience to stand around for 2 hours in a boring area that everybody else would think, but you can see something to take a picture. So you usually can't take anybody with you because they'll be there going, "Oh, have you finished yet? Can we go?" No matter who it is.
I know. I get that when I go
to do it.
When I go shooting. When I take Leslie with me, it's always like, "Are we ready yet?"
That's right.
It's like almost. I'm bored.
He said, "You're taking a picture of a train. You did one of them last week."
Why are we back at Seabridge? Haven't we seen enough boats? No, there's different boats.
And like as I said, you're like me. One of your favourite ones is that one round the corner. What's that village? That Seabridge.
Seabridge. I love
It's
Seabridge.
lovely. I love I've got a place like that, Docklands. I just love going there, taking a picture. It doesn't change, but it feels good just to go there.
Yeah, and there's different angles.
Picture.
And again, even though you go 100 times, there's 100 different shots you could take. There's different angles, different perspectives. There's like 3 or 4 islands all tied together, so you could really get a lot of walking in and always find a different shot. I bet you could go to some of these places 10 years in a row and always find a different shot.
And like that Seabridge as well, same as the Docklands here. There's so many different boats and huge boats, small boats, and the different kind of people going around their jet skis. And things keep changing. It might be the same sort of landscape, but there's always something that you might capture that's really good. And it's the sort of thing that it's nice, and it's a nice pleasure to go down. You look forward to going to see that. So that's a big difference on there. But then, when, as I said, looking at cameras again, with knowing Ken was coming on, I started looking at the Sony A9 camera, which until the other week I thought there was only the A99. So stupid me, until Rick said, "Well, there is the A9. You know, it is not the A99." And I thought, silly me, I even missed that. So I was having a look at the Sony A9 camera, and it looks like with a lot of the features it does have, quite impressive for what it does, but it's still in that quite small, restricting form factor.
No, I thought it's bigger.
You'd like it one little bit for the hands.
I thought the A9 is bigger. No?
No, well, as I said, they were saying, like, for people with smaller hands or not so big hands, it's not so bad. But I think with the bigger hands, it still doesn't look that much bigger. But they matched it against the A99 I saw, and it's considerably smaller.
Well, the
than the
A99 is huge. It's a big camera. It's like, it's like a Canon. It's big. And see, I don't mind big cameras. I agree that if I travel, I want to go lighter, but I don't mind having a big camera. I have pretty big hands, so it doesn't bother me. It's okay.
And the A9, I think it's sort of matched against the Nikon D5 and D500 anyway. So
those are not cheap.
And the XD1 in the Canon or something? Is it?
The 1XD.
1X. But I mean, it's matched against them. So all the ones it's competing against are all these nice, big, chunky ones. So
and it's $4,500, which is not cheap. 45 is a big price.
Well,
and I paid $4,500 for that 5 DSR, and that was a 51 megapixel camera. So I mean, so that they're expensive. I mean, you really have to justify. I had no justification to buy a 5 DSR at all. I mean, none. It was strictly taxes, but I like the camera. It's not a bad camera. You know, Canon's look is different from Nikon. It's different from Sony. It's closer to Fuji, and it's different from the Panasonic. So it's not a bad look. But it's a different look. I always find Canon's just a tad softer, but it just depends. Sometimes they're pretty sharp.
But at least the 5 DSR, you've got a 50 megapixel camera there that does, as I said, does the best shot. The Sony A9, I think it is a lot lower in the megapixel.
24 megapixel. Or 20.
Sorry,
it's either 20 or 24.
24, something way lower on that. But the reason why they've done that, obviously, is because they've got the fast frames, how many frames, 20 frames a second, something it is.
Yeah.
But as I said, if they did that as a 42 megapixel like they do in the Sony A7, well, the buffer would take forever to do, whereas they're clearing it. It does that for fast shooting. So I suppose the downside is you're not getting as good a picture quality, but the upside is you're getting a good picture where if you had the 50 megapixel, you wouldn't get that because it wouldn't be able to write so quick, so you'd miss a picture altogether. So because there was matching that up against, say, the A9 against the A7, and the 42 megapixel, of course, does a much better clarity of picture.
Right. Yeah.
There, but it's as I said, but like with you got that 50 DSLR. Yes, it might be clunky. It's a slow camera for not an actual, but you haven't bought it for that. It's for
it's landscapes, it's portraits, it's nice shots, and I've done some portraits with it, and they came out really well. Not even in great lighting, it was good. It's amazing how clean it is. It's a good camera, and the lenses that I had were good for it, and it works well. But I'm still waiting for one more Canon to come out. I didn't get the 5D Mark IV. I really had an issue with the 4K codec. It's to me it was overkill, and it's not necessary to get good videos.
No.
And the form factor of the 5D Mark IV is exactly the same as the 7D Mark II. They're exactly the same. If you look at both cameras, unless you're looking at them in the front, they look exactly the same. There's no differences. But I am kind of looking forward to seeing if they do a 7D Mark III, because it may have some good features. And what I'm really looking forward to is the 6D Mark II, which would be the full frame 6D. They've got to innovate somewhere. They've got to do something to give back a little bit, because nothing in Canon and almost nothing in Nikon has really 4K except the high-end cameras. And I just shake my head and go, why? Everybody else is doing 4K on their phones, but not Canon. It just makes no sense.
The thing is now is like when I've just bought myself a new OLED TV, but when you're looking at them, you cannot buy these days a bigger screen TV that's not 4K. So regardless of what you like, there's going to be more content there. But even if you're playing your own videos and connecting them up to that, then say even YouTube are doing 4K, but that's the way it's going, whether you like it or not. You can choose to film in other ones, but if you're doing anything professionally, if you go roll up to any shoot without a camera that doesn't shoot 4K, they'll think you don't know what you're doing. Even though it might be quite right that you're only going to use an HD video, you've got to have that in your arsenal and be able to shoot with it to be competitive. And that was another thing, as I said, if I was using a camera professionally, yes, I'll definitely run out and get a few more cameras for that, because as we've discussed in the past, it's never about just getting the ideal camera. It's the ideal camera for that particular job. Right. Like I was just saying, the 50 DSLR, I'm doing a portrait, I'm doing a shoot that's a big one, I'll use that. But I'm filming something, where ice hockey, I want to get some shot. The Nikon D500 would be excellent in that. And even like that new Sony, the A9. Is that the A9? Is that that's not a micro four thirds or a full frame?
No, the A9 is full frame.
APS-C? Is it full frame?
I believe it's full frame.
I just never caught whether it was a full frame or APS-C.
I think it's full frame. Maybe it is. I don't think it's APS-C. I think it's full.
You were saying about the price in the US. Well, the Sony A9 here, body only, is $6,748.
That's a lot of money.
And that turns into 5,142 US with the current conversion rate. So it's a lot of money. And then you've got to think, and like one thing Ken's always said with Sony, there's not a lot of glass.
No.
So, but even then, you've got to buy, say, the G Master lens to get. If you're going to spend that much, even though if you can adapt your other lenses, you really should be getting the ones that Sony made for it. Because I was just saying before that you have Metabones adapters.
And Ken talked about that this week, and so are other people talking about it. I was in, Sammy's recently in LA. And a lot of the repair people do not like the Metabones. They don't like the photodioxes because they cause issues. There's been cases where electrical problems happen and your camera just burns out. You ruin. That's not good. It's funny. I have two GH5s. The Metabones XL and one GH4 works on my GH4. Works on one of the GH5s, but won't work on the other one, which is really odd. But it works on 2 out of 3. That's kind of weird. But all my other lenses work on every one of those. So if they're native lenses, I don't have an issue with the GH4 or either of the GH5s. It just works perfectly. I've got the Olympus, I think it's 40 to 150 lens, no problem. But anytime I put the Metabones on, I may have a problem with one of the GH5s, and I'm a little scared right now that if I use it, Hugh made a good comment. I never really checked that, but he's right. The Metabones does not recognize the depth from defocus that Panasonic uses, I guess, in video mode. So there's a chance if you're trying to do tracking or anything, it won't work too well because it just isn't fast enough. So that's an issue. Meaning it works for photos. If you're just doing photos, it'll work pretty well. If you're doing high speed, I don't know. But I guess every time you put something foreign into your camera that's not native to it, there's always that small risk that it may have a problem. Ken had an issue with a Photo Diox $100 adapter, and the spring broke on it and flew into his sensor and maybe the leaf shutter. And I think he said it didn't ruin it this time, but it could have easily destroyed a $6,500 camera.
But really, when you think about it, though, it's the camera manufacturers make their cameras to work with their specifications on the lenses and the way that they connect. They don't make them taking into account an adapter to fit somebody else's brand lens, and that's the last thing they want you to do. And anytime, like you said, that you jailbreak anything, you might get extra features, or you put that on. There's always that risk, but sometimes the risk the benefits outweigh the risks, and a lot of the time there's not going to be too much problem. But I wonder though, would your camera, if your GH5 was damaged and it said because of the Metabones adapter, that wouldn't be covered under warranty, would it?
Well, I don't know. It might be, but anyway, my warranty is gone because I sent it in for damage because when it got dropped. I sent it in just to be safe. Now my lens, the 12 to 60 millimeter f2.8 Panasonic Leica lens, that one, let's see, we're going on 5 weeks now. Still haven't gotten it back from Panacare.
No.
And Leslie called and they said, oh, we're still trying to get a part in. They couldn't get the part. They couldn't get the lens kit part. So now they're giving us a full exchange.
Oh, well, that's good.
But we don't know when that. They supposedly was going to come in this week and then they were going to ship it, but no news. So I think by the time we're done, it's going to be probably almost 2 months since it happened. And, oh, well, that teaches me a lesson. Be very, very careful. But
very, very careful.
Very, very careful. But anyway.
Fun. Very, very careful.
Very, very careful. Yep.
Well, did you get two of those 12 to 60 millimeter?
I only got one.
One?
I only got one.
Just got.
That's $1,000. I didn't want to spend on two, but got one, and it was a nice lens. I liked it. What I've been using a lot right now is the 12 to 35 millimeter, which is also a good lens, and the Nocticron. And I have the 20. Oh no, the one I have on right now for the last 2 weeks is the 25 millimeter, which is a 50 millimeter equivalent in full frame. I love that. That is a really nice 50 millimeter lens equivalent. It's clean. It doesn't weigh anything really. Everybody complains it's big, but compared to what I'm used to, it's pretty small. And it just shoots beautifully. It's sharp. The videos are clean. The photos are really nice. So I guess I'll as I move along, I'll probably just buy more lenses that are, and I have almost everything you could need except maybe a longer focus lens. But I think I'm going to be a little cautious about the adapters and probably just get the kind of camera, like I have the Canon, so I need one more Canon and I'm good. If they come out with a decent 6D or maybe a 7D Mark III, I'll probably get one of those and that'll be my Canon. I have all the lenses for it. But I don't know. The 7D Mark II was a great camera, except it didn't have touchscreen and it didn't have a vari-angle LCD. And if they had that, it would have been perfect. I actually love that camera. And 4K, of course, but that's Canon. So...
And I was interested to see with Kendall doing that, the A9 review and going out. He had a particularly nice. What was that? He had a Fuji one. What's that?
That's the GX.
Yeah, something just
GXS,
a couple.
Is it GXM, something like that.
Something like that.
That's what do they call it? Medium format sensor. So it takes it's about close to 450 or 40 megapixels. I'm not sure. It's pretty close to that. and it sounds like a great camera. The detail is really good. Maybe better than the 5DSR as far as detail. But yeah, Fuji's are good.
Well,
I'm just not.
Well, that was just the thing that was shown with the comparison between the A9 and what Ken was doing. And I thought, well, gee, Ken's pictures are much better from what I like. But as I said, photography as well is always in the eye of the beholder.
Yes.
Because everybody can get a nice clean shot. Pretty much you can get a nice clean in-shot focus. It's how it looks like. Sometimes people like more details which nearly show the pores of the screen. Sometimes some people like it.
But it's also a very slow camera. It's not built to be fast. It's built for landscapes and portraits.
And then that one, the portrait one, to me, it was softer in that, because some of these ones that give a nice super duper sharp one, I don't want that. I want people to look as natural as possible. But like we see them, we don't see them by seeing the pores in the skin that sort of define. We see them as we see them, and that's how I like to see a lot of portraits. But as you said, whenever I was looking at what's HD Blu-ray players, what's the next thing? Because for the OLED TVs, the next generation is you need a new DVD player.
Right, and the Blu-ray is still only 1080p.
But one of the things that came across that was the same thing as in photography that they do, that they was showing about one, oh no, well this isn't a good, but this one's great. And the one that they said it was great was because the colours were so vibrant, and they said, but but the sky's never that blue. And the one that they didn't like, to me, looked more natural. They said, well, that's how life looks. It's got a nice pale blue sky with semi-off-white clouds, not a perfectly deep blue sky with perfect white clouds, and every blue is super duper blue, and people aren't orange. And that's but that's the thing, is that the same thing people do with photography all the times, and you see that when they take it, they pull up the saturation and make everything larger than life. And so my take on the world is how it looks on sometimes like an OLED version of like your Samsung S8.
And if you look at the Samsung S8, or I have the S8 Plus, it's very saturated. It's pretty. I mean, they've always done that. It's OLED, and the color saturation is not exactly what you're seeing. It's brighter. It's vibrant, and that's what they do, and they're known for that. So and sometimes they look good, and sometimes they look a little over the top. So it's always hard to tell what's better. Is it better over the top, or is it better just a little more natural? I kind of prefer natural too, but sometimes it is fun to watch the blue sky get a little bluer, and I don't use Lightroom very much at all, and a lot of people, everything they take, they Lightroom, so you don't know what it really looked like.
But it was always the same thing with TVs ever since I've was selling them from years back when colour TV first came out. Is you used to have we had the Chrysler, the Philips TVs, and they were always the best colour. But then people loved the Panasonic, but that was deeper blue colour, and then all the Sonys had, you could get the brighter orange faces.
Right. I mean, Sony was great. It was so lively, so vibrant. It wasn't real, but it looked great.
But even then, the Chrysler and the Philips were a bit dull, but they did the best colour, and the Rank Arena we had, but they were the most accurate reproduction of a colour.
You know who else? Toshiba. Toshiba had very good color reproduction, and we bought one of those. It was like 300-pound TV. But the problem is, it was that good, but it also was kind of boring. It was a little too natural, so there wasn't much life to it. So even the things that were more digital or more exciting just didn't come across very well. So when we got rid of it, we went to a Mitsubishi projector, and that was a 65-inch projector. It was great. The colors looked really good on that. They had the 4-color, or is it 3-color? I think it was a 3-color, maybe it was 4, projector, and it was pretty darn good. They were natural, but they were also somewhat vivid, without being too over the top, not too vivid. But
I remember, it takes me back to when my first impression or the viewing of a huge, what was it, a 60-inch rear projection screen TV back in the 80s, and it was marvelous. But if you moved about a millimeter off center, you couldn't see anything.
No, that's right.
And then I was watching it with my cousins in England, and because they was really good at the time, we thought, and I thought, I can't see anything because I've got pushed to the side about 6 inches. And unless it was pitch black with all the lights off, it was. But I was amazed how amazed we were with them.
Yeah, and now Plasma also had a really nice color. It was soft and very natural, and they lasted really well. But they consumed a ton of electricity, and I guess their life cycle wasn't all that long. They ran hot. They ran pretty hot actually. And they still sell Plasma, but not much anymore. I think Plasma is almost...
You can't get one here.
No.
Cannot get one.
And if you think about it, projection TVs and DLP, they're gone.
And that's where the OLED comes in, because it gives you back the quality that you liked from the Plasma, and even a bit deeper, but without the power consumption, without the heat.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Plasma was always amazed me how we got rid of Plasma, brought in the LCDs, and they weren't as good. But as far as the picture quality, but now the OLEDs are getting there, and then they're starting to come down in price, not a huge amount.
And if you look at my phone, this is the Samsung S8 Plus. It's an OLED screen. You can bring it any which way you want.
I can see it clearly even through this.
Yeah, and the thing about this is everywhere you see that's black means the LED, the OLED, the organic LED, is off. So you have perfect blacks, absolutely perfect blacks. The contrast is so amazing on this. Everything is just like super sharp. If here's like a screen full of apps, and it just responds super quick. That's pretty fast. There's no flicker, nothing. It's almost perfect. And if you look at what Jeff got, he got one of the LG OLEDs, or he'll be getting it soon. That one is just gorgeous. Go to any Best Buy and take a look at it. They're beautiful. They really are. And they're still expensive though. You're still looking at about $3,000 to $5,000 for one of those. So maybe in a year or two they'll go down, but not this year. This year is still pretty expensive.
If it's anything like here though, the 55-inch is about $1,600 cheaper. It's quite reasonable, because 55 inch is still quite a big TV, but in the way people think these days, it's like a 14-inch TV used to be compared to a 26-inch. Nobody would buy a 14-inch to view a family viewing, and these days nobody wants a 55-inch. But that's quite huge. The average Plasma, when people got them, those huge ones were 42 inches,
and it was $10,000.
Yeah, but now the 55-inch, when I bought mine, a friend came along with me at the same time, and he bought the 27-inch, the 55-inch, because it still is a 12-inch upgrade from his 42.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I mean, and they're so much cheaper for that little lesser screen. But of course, I couldn't resist. I had a 60-inch, so I couldn't get the 55. I had to get one bigger. Right. It would seem worse going down.
Yeah. Well, my wife has a 46-inch Insignia, where she works in the family room at home, or when she works at home in the family room, and she keeps going, it's so small. I go, it's 46 inches. It's actually pretty big, and you look at it, it looks large enough, but compared to the old-time TVs, because they're so thin, they just don't look that big anymore. And we have a 65-inch Sharp in the living room. It looks small. It just doesn't look that big.
No, that doesn't anymore. But as I said, it's still quite big, aren't they? So.
Yeah, it's actually pretty aming.
I was joking the other day. I went to see the Alien Covenants, and was sat in there and was just joking. Said, this is what it'll be. You'll just have the house, the screen like this, and everybody be looking at. See my new 300-inch screen.
Wow.
And be like that. And just he said that's what houses will become. Will be one massive television screen.
Well, it's funny. A lot of people aren't doing this, but really, you can get a projector, a really high quality projector of about $3,000-4,000, and you'll get a 100-inch screen easily. and you just put a flat screen on the wall, and they are beautiful. I'm surprised they're just not as popular.
Well, the thing is with projectors is, well, that people they get a high-end projector and they put it onto a really nice white wall, and they're not happy. To get the best out of it, you've got to get the proper screen
Yes.
to put on the wall, because that helps. It's like
Right.
the backlit of a TV. If you get something that it's very comparable, and like some of the Sonys, or well, not just Sony, some of the rear projection, you can put them up on the wall unit to the side, and it doesn't have to be straight, so you don't have to have it stuck in the roof dangling down. You can have it on the side of a wall unit. It can project across, and some of them are just like you said, if you just take the time, it'd be really good quality, and that you just can't pick it. But it's they just put it onto a wall, and that's not going to do the good.
No, and you can get 100-inch like flat screen, the little teeny screens for those. They're not that expensive, probably several $100 or $500, and then you get a perfect 100-inch TV or more. That's pretty amazing. And to buy a 100-inch TV or a OLED, good luck. They're expensive as all else.
But I remember I went to a Sharp release, even when I was, this was over 18 years ago, because that was over 20 years ago, because I haven't been in that industry for that long. And the release of this Sharp projection TV on the right screen, and it was absolutely beautiful back then. And the technology's improved tenfold by then, and that was on a great screen. So you would have thought it was on a huge size screen, a TV screen, and you thought that was a technology back then. So just think how much have improved now.
Yep, that's true. We were running around with a lower third. I didn't even know we had a lower third up. I went, why is that lower third up?
Oh, that was you, I think.
That was me. I think I didn't even realize I turned it on, so that was kind of bizarre.
As long as it didn't say somebody else's name, that would be.
It's like, who's Susie?
I wasn't even taking much notice of that.
I didn't either. Just now I went, oh.
But with the way technology is going, though, Rick, don't you think, well, what will it be like in another 10 years? It says, will we have an equipment where we just look?
There's going to be a plateau at one point where you're not going to get much more out of it. For example, with retinal displays, a retinal display is a minimum of 300 dots per inch, 300 pixels per inch, let's say. But the thing is, our eyes can only see up to about 300 pixels per inch. So if you have 700, 800, and they're all talking about 500, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't add anything to what we can perceive. It's just good marketing. But other than that, physically, very few people could probably see more than 300. It's interesting. So I think from a display technology, it ain't going to get too much better. We'll probably have OLED become normal monitors. We're not there yet.
But it's a bit like, computers seem to have reached the thing of speed of the CPU.
Yeah.
But now it's the GPU that's the most important things on the new computers.
Right.
So, and as I said, but you just think back of, like I said, just in my lifetime, things used to go so much slower, but now it's just going faster and faster. And no sooner you get one camera out, and as soon as you've bought that one, there's something else that's going to come out next week that's going to blow it out of the water.
And
so
this is what's
if you do buy a camera, don't look at any reviews. Don't look at YouTube, and don't type in any cameras.
No, and this is what's good and bad for the camera manufacturers, because everybody wants to keep up, and they want to buy new cameras. So people are buying lenses and keeping them for a long time, because lenses don't change much. But cameras do change every year, and that's where they're having... People are not buying the upgrades right now because the economy is tight. So, everybody wants to be the latest guy on the block, but people are probably waiting 3 to 5 years, whereas before, in the beginning, they were going every year. And they go, I can't do this anymore. And the change is really to change a camera. Really, year to year isn't worth it. Things, maybe 3-4 years, you'll start seeing some real changes. But year to year, unless it's something dramatic, and we haven't really seen anything dramatic yet. We've seen some small, nice changes. Canon's still charging $14,000 for cinema cameras, and you just go, wow. And they're competing against themselves because nobody else needs to charge that much, and they're half the price, and they're just as good in many cases. So it's an interesting industry where
but then again, that $14,000 cinema camera, not so long back, that was $30,000.
Oh, yes,
So
but that was also
even
still overpriced. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. But as I said, even now the overpriced ones been
Yeah.
cut in half. But as you said, it's the sort of thing as well as with the Canon ones. It's if you roll up with that one, yes, you've got the thing to do that shoot. People believe in
Right.
you because
That's
it's got
true.
the name. Whether it does, there might be something else that's much cheaper that will do the same job. But you've got one of those Canon cinema cameras.
Whereas if you
know
show up
what
with
you're
a
doing.
little camera, as long as it's in a huge rig, then it looks good.
Yes.
But it's funny because you're right. We showed up once with some small cameras, and they were camcorders then. They were professionals. They were $3,000 camcorders. And they were like, that's it? Yeah. But this thing is $3,000, and this microphone is $1,500, and this is all professional gear. What were you looking for? Well, we thought it'd be bigger. Bigger. And what did you mean by bigger? So they're talking, well, we thought it'd be like TV stuff. Yeah, those are $20,000 cameras for studios. They're not for shooting outside. So there's a lot of misconception. Bigger is better. No, it isn't. But on the other hand, smaller is not always as convenient either. And Sony proved that. All their really small cameras have a lot of heat issues. The A9 didn't, according to the test, but still.
No, everybody said that was really good compared to the other ones that never seemed to overheat. So.
And it has a better battery, but, you know, the A7R, I don't like it. The feel of it is just, it's a great camera, I'm sure, but I don't like the feel of it, so I wouldn't shoot with it. Remember I got that Olympus EM5 or something?
5 minutes.
That thing was so I'm holding it going, this is not comfortable. And the lens, I couldn't get my finger to hold it right because the lens was in the way. And I was going, this sucks. And I turned it back in. I think the next day I returned it. Yeah, Larry at Sammy's, he's our video sales guy. He just shakes his head when I walk in. Oh, it's rigged. And we're good friends. I love Larry. But he just goes, oh, what's he going to do now? Is he going to return it? And I try not to. But some of them have just been,
Well, just as well you don't live here, Rick. I think if I walked out of a shop with a Fuji one and then had it the next day and said, well, I don't want it, so well, tough.
Yeah.
So you bought it, that's it. Once it's done, you can't return it.
That's it. You're done.
Is it faulty? No, well, sorry.
Yeah, that's your problem, right? Yeah.
And if it's faulty, I'll replace it. But as I said, you're not going to. I'm quite
even
amazed with you.
BMW will replace it for you. I mean, so B&H. They'll replace it too. I mean, there's a lot of service about, look, people make mistakes. You buy it online, you get the wrong thing, or it wasn't quite what you thought it would be. They're very good about it. They'll take it back. Sometimes they'll give you a restocking fee, like $100. I don't mind. I don't mind doing that. No, that's fair.
No, because but you don't mind because they're going to have to mark it down a little bit.
Yep.
Sell it again. So
or they send it right back. Or they send it right back. Or they may send it right back to the manufacturer and just say, oh, get a new one.
But even if it's just said if there's nothing wrong with it, says it's just no good. Well, you don't mind that rather than wasting your whole $2,000 or something. Yeah, well, I've wasted. It's cost me $300, but at least I haven't wasted $2,000.
That's true.
I've got my $1,700 back because.
Wow.
If it doesn't work, it's just no good for you. But there's got to. I wish there was something else, like you said. People say, "Well, why don't you rent them?" But I've had a look in them. You rent them for 2 weeks, and it costs you about $800. And you think, hang on, that's nearly $1,000 off. And if I do want to buy it, that's just cost me an extra $1,000.
Yeah, that's why I don't rent much either. I did a whole mess of videos last weekend on the Focus with the M5 and also with the GH5. GH5 won hands down.
Oh.
But one thing I noticed, that even though it's following face and you could see the box, it's not always good focus. That sort of shocked me. The M5 had my face right there, and it was so soft. I don't know. I'm not sure what went wrong or what it did, but that's the best focus I could get out of it. It was really weird.
I still reckon a lot of these are meant for people to be behind the camera no matter what. They're not designed to be... No. No matter what, you've still got to set it up and click it.
I even had Leslie set it up once. She came by and she said, no, the box is on you and you're sharp on there. And then when it comes out, it just looks really, really soft. I don't know. It was an interesting test. I was a little disappointed with both cameras, a little bit on the sharpness, but the GH5 really was a much better focusing camera than like an M5 or some of the other ones. It did a good job. I mean, for the kind of interview stuff we do and just the podcasting, it was good. I could walk into the scene, the box would immediately come on my face, and it was sharp enough. I thought it looked good. I was a little burned out, but that was my fault because I didn't have my lens, my LCD turned towards me. So I just kind of went, looks a little dark. So I lightened it up, but it wasn't. It was actually just a tad overblown.
And the thing is, if you're doing a lot of vlogging yourself, if you put yourself and just sit in front of a white background, you know it's always going to be. But if you put yourself into a background that you sort of blend into,
then all of a sudden it's not that good.
All of a sudden it doesn't know what to, because it's that contrast-based focusing.
Yep.
But if you have a white background, you know you're always going to be in focus because
you're
the center of
black
attention.
Or white, it'll be good. Yep.
Yeah, but it's
like
it's
you've
that
got a
thing
lot of stuff around you. I've got some stuff around me. Mine's dark enough right now, but different cameras. But with the DSLRs, not always what you think.
Because I remember seeing one, I forget whose video it was, but I think it was doing the Sony A6500 at one of the releases, and it was on a tripod, and it was showing the thing, but the person was speaking, and then it would pick the TVs in the background, but it was such a sharp focus. Yeah. But I was so amazed at how the clarity, and there was no extra light. It was very dark. It did a great job, but then all of a sudden, it would, am I supposed to be on him? And it was
because they're constantly checking.
It still didn't notice, and that wasn't it was a Sony, wasn't the but it's still constantly checking. So, well, I'm not too sure. They're not moving. Right. But there was movement on the TV, so it picked that. And I thought there's always going to be, as I said, Sony are renowned for how much better their follow focus is and that. But it's like you said, it's a computer that still has to figure out.
Right.
And a human can know, no, it's him. He's not moving. It's only his lips moving. Yep. I don't want to see the other movement in the back. But it doesn't know that. It says, well, that's moving more.
Right.
Obviously, I've got to follow.
That must be more fun. Let's go look at the TV.
That's right.
I did that once where I had a TV behind me. It was a monitor behind me. It was one of the iMacs. And I had a demo playing on it, and I was in front of it talking. And every so often it would go, demo? Demo? Rick. And I went, oh, geez. Because what was coming behind looked interesting, so I would go look and see who it was.
That's what worries me with these automatic, these driverless cars.
Yep.
What's to say it's going to decide I'm going to go over that cliff because I think that looks more interesting than the road.
That scares me. And you know what? They're not perfect, and they're not working that well either.
Well, if it does, Skynet's going to be a reality. Over, and then the cars will take over, lock the doors, and suffocate us all.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. That's what's going to happen. Well, Jeff, we are at the end of our time. Another show. I think we're at 120 or something. 121.
Yes, 121 today. 121.
121. We're getting a lot of shows out there. We'll get a hold of Ken maybe next week, and we'll see where he was and what happened. And I tried him halfway during the show and nothing. So
no, that's.
I think he was. I think if I recall correctly, he did have a photo shoot early today, and it may have lasted a lot longer. So it's okay.
And it's late because to him it's late in the day. It's 2-3 hours later, isn't it? So it's in the evening. So it might have been.
He probably got home and collapsed. That's it.
Yeah, and even if it is a bit early, it might be just too early. Because when you're doing one of these things, you finished when the day's finished, not by the time.
That's true. Anyway, Jeff, well, you have a great weekend. And for all you folks out there, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you want to. And let us know what you think. If you wanted us to interview any particular guests, let us know who you'd like us to talk to. We talk to everybody. Anyway, have a good one, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.